Seattle Kraken fan is a hero. In October, Nadia Popovici saw something on the neck of a Vancouver Canucks staffer at a game. Here's Nadia explaining what she saw.
He reached over and the back of the lapel of his jacket kind of came down, and I caught sight of his mole right in front of me.
Nadia got Hamilton's attention and told him he should get it checked out. It turned out to be malignant melanoma, a type of skin cancer which can be deadly. So, how do you stop melanoma from happening and take note of possible trouble spots before it's too late? Dr. Julia Carroll is a dermatologist and on the board of MelanomaNetwork of Canada. Good afternoon, Dr. Carroll.
Good afternoon. What a great story that is.
And I was just going to ask you about that. What's your reaction to hearing about what Nadia did?
Well, I was so excited. As someone who's a pre-med student, I love that she took the initiative and she trusted her gut. And I think that's a really great quality to have going into medicine. And as a dermatologist, I've done those things myself, pointed out things to people. I was really pleased that she took that initiative.
Tell us a little bit more about melanoma for those who are not familiar with it. How serious is it?
Well, it is the deadliest skin cancer. And in North America, one person dies from melanoma every hour. And we also know it's one of the most common types of cancer for youth between the ages of 15 to 29, which is very uncommon for cancer.
What are some of the warning signs that your mole or that you might have melanoma?
Yeah, we've made it easy, and we call it the ABCs of melanoma. A stands for asymmetry, if one side doesn't look like the other. B is for the border, so if the border is fuzzy or bleeding, the brown color is bleeding into the skin. C is color, if it's getting darker or changing color. D is for diameter, so getting larger. And E is for evolution. So if you notice a change and that change is persisting, that's definitely something you should bring to the attention of your doctor or dermatologist. And then just to make it really simple, we call it the ugly duckling factor, which means if you have a mole that looks different than any other mole on your body, that's one that you should also bring to the attention of your doctor or your dermatologist if you have one.
Mm-hmm. What does family history play into this? Because we've heard about family history in cancers. Is there a family history involved in this type of cancer?
There is a family history, but it's usually not that significant. So if there is a family history of melanoma, obviously that makes people more aware, and we keep that in mind. But most of the melanomas that I see are new in people that don't have a family history. And, we know that the leading cause of melanoma is overexposure to ultraviolet radiation from the sun or artificial sources like tanning beds.
Mm-hmm. Who's most vulnerable to melanoma?
Well, that's the interesting thing about melanoma. It really can affect anyone regardless of sex, age, or race. However, we do see it more commonly in people that are outdoor workers or, do a lot of activities outdoors, and people that tend to have skin that is lighter in color, red hair, freckles, blue eyes. They do tend to be more of the people that we see developing melanomas, but you never want to drop your guard.
Mm-hmm. If you do notice, because I'm sure that a lot of people now are looking closely at moles and markings on their skin after this story came out, but if you do notice something unusual, what should you do?
So the best thing to do is see a physician, or if you have access to a dermatologist. It's a very easy test to do. We just literally examine the spot that's in question. And if you see a dermatologist, they'll often use a tool called a dermatoscope, which is a special polarized magnifying lens that gives us a little more information about the spot. But it's not scary. It's a very, very easy process. A lot of people I know are nervous to see doctors for a test, but this is an easy test to do.
If the mole that you have is cancerous, what are some of the treatment options?
So the first thing we would do is do a biopsy. We take a look at it under the microscope and just determine, if it is a melanoma. And then the big thing is staging it. So we want to know how deep it is and look at different features that would make it more or less worrisome. And then for the majority of melanomas, to begin with, it's an excision. But if something has been left too long or if it progressed quickly, then we may be looking at other treatments like chemotherapy, radiation, there's immunotherapies, and some targeted therapies specific to melanoma.
Mm-hmm. What's the survival rate if caught early?
It's very high. So that's why for melanoma, we really focus on prevention and then early detection.
So then what's the best way to prevent melanoma from happening?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So at Melanoma Network Canada, we always talk about 3 ways to block the rays. And the first one is to seek shade between peak UV hours, so 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., particularly from March to October. Wearing clothing with sun protective features, wraparound sunglasses, broad-brimmed hats and things. And then also to generously apply an SPF of 50 plus. That's something that I do every morning, no matter what season, no matter what the weather is. Because even though we're sort of in those deep, dark days of winter right now, that ultraviolet A rays don't change based on season. They're always the same. So if you're doing outdoor activities like skiing, going for a walk with the family, kids are playing outdoors, you still have to keep that in mind. I always use my sunscreen and I put a hat when we go out for a walk.
Because that's a myth that a lot of people, it's winter, it's cold out there, we don't get as much sunshine, and so people assume that we're fine from the UV rays.
Yeah. But you get a lot of bounce off of the snow, just like you would get bounce off of water. And if you think about it, there's people spend time in the car. Or sitting by windows now. A lot of people are working from home. So those are all ways that you're chronically exposing your skin to ultraviolet rays. So it may not cause melanoma, but there's lots of other skin cancers and sun damage that can occur just from that chronic exposure. So it's a great habit to have to just use daily sunscreen and be careful be observant of all the UV exposure that you're getting.
Dr. Carroll, I really appreciate you joining me today here on the show. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.
Dr. Julia Carroll is a dermatologist and on the board of Melanoma Network of Canada.